Got mics?
Yeah, Pat, after the game Tuesday, you talked about just, you felt it was your most complete game, or, up there with one of them. I'm just wondering, as you go back and watch the film of that, did that kind of back up your eye test Tuesday? And
No, what happens is, what always happens is I'll go back and see the 8 million mistakes we made instead of the 8 million awesome things. My staff makes me be Joe positive when we go into the film session, so I make sure I show plenty of positives, like always, but then a lot of cleanup. So, yeah, I mean, I thought we played as complete a game as we have all year long. We're perfect. Had some defensive breakdowns, and I thought, as I mentioned after the game, I thought when we addressed those, we came out of the huddles or the medias or the timeouts or whatever and fixed some of those things. But every team's a work in progress. We're no different. And I thought our guys have had a great mentality, turning the page from that one, cleaning up some of the mistakes we made, and then devoting our 1,000,000% attention to a very, very dangerous and well-coached Virginia team.
Pat, kind of on that same note, when you face a team for the second time in the season, especially after playing well the first time, is there a different approach that you guys might take as far as preparing for them?
I mean, it's part of league play, where when you play teams the second time. Now our league's to the point where size-wise we don't play a ton of teams twice. But throughout the course of my career, I've played in leagues forever where you play almost every team twice. Not always. It's changed from year to year. But they have kind of the answers to the test. We have the answers to the test, so to speak, where you have stuff on tape where that they did really well against us, and we did some things well against them that they'll adjust to, we'll adjust to. That's just part of it. We have a deal and a culture, a DNA, if you will, both on the offensive end and defensive end, and they do as well. So both of us, Virginia and Louisville, we both kind of rely on who we are and our principles, and obviously we have tweaks and they have tweaks. So it's always interesting, just the adjustments that both teams make the second time. But we gotta be ready. I mean, it's cheese or Pete's. Like they're screening, the way that they move, the way that they screen, their ability to beat you with off-ball screens, and they're so good at reading, delivering the ball on time where it needs to be. And they also have a very effective and dangerous ball screen game as well. They're an exceptional three-point shooting team with a lot of weapons, and they force you to be on it from a defensive perspective, and they execute. And I told our guys they're going to get screened and screened again, and screened again and again, and they just work so hard to generate open shots. You can't let up for a second.
Pat, I know you guys have the next thing is the most important thing mentality, but you guys are riding a 7-game winning streak. I would imagine you have a lot of people from the outside world patting you on the back right now, but how important is it that your staff is a used to winning staff? You have vets on your team that are used to winning, to be able to kind of handle everything that may be coming at you guys right now.
Yeah, that helps that we have a veteran team. And you mentioned my staff too, the best staff in the country. They do an unbelievable job on a daily basis, keeping our guys on task, both on the floor, off the floor, helping us, me, our team, to stay extremely consistent in the next thing that we do, as you mentioned. And I know you guys probably are sick and tired of hearing that, but that's all we worry about. We have strung some wins together, and that's a very good thing for Louisville basketball, right? It's good for the city. It's good for momentum. It's good for our fan base. It's good for our brand. It's good for recruiting. I get all that. And it's for you guys to talk about, you guys, fans to talk about and get excited about. It's put more butts in the seats. It has a ripple effect that's very positive. We don't talk about any of it, and we don't think about any of it once we get into this building, and really when we're out of this building. It's just simply about having the best practice that we can possibly have. The hope was to have the best one in the history of the program, as I tell you all the time. I don't know whether it was or wasn't, but I can tell you those guys were really locked in, and that's all we're worried about. As you know, we were supposed to start this press conference at whatever, I don't even know what time it is. I'm not sure what day of the week it is either. I always say that.
It's Friday and it's 2:49.
2:49, and whatever time we were supposed to start, I'm late. It's because the film session went a little long. And it's not Charlie Brown's teacher where I'm just talking to those guys. They are talking to us. You know, it's hearing our players' voices in the film session, contributing thoughts, answering questions, being engaged. You know, and here it is on January 17th. It's January 17th.
Yep.
It's my little sister's birthday. Shame on me.
You still
Better
fine?
than your anniversary.
Little late in the call.
Mimi, I love you.
There you
Listen,
go.
my little sister married the baby at 5. Once my dad got to marry, my dad's a Marine. Once he got to marry, he was a little tired of all the discipline, so Mary kinda got to
She
do
got
whatever
it.
she wanted. But I love you, Mimi. Forgot what the heck I was talking about, but next question.
Brooks.
Where does this team stand when you think about, you know, the best you coach in terms of rebounding the ball?
Where does our team stack up in
Yeah.
terms of the teams that I coach?
Yeah, your previous teams.
Geez, I mean, I think we have a very good rebounding team. I haven't even thought about kind of where it stacks up on other teams. I just know this team has been very relentless in pursuing the ball. You have to be very solid in the basics, and rebounding, it doesn't get any more important and basic than rebounding. And, you know, Virginia makes it hard too. Their bigs are relentless. You know, kid number 0, for instance, wasn't playing as many minutes when they played us the first time. I think he had 15 rebounds in the last game. 2 is a ferocious rebounder, 5 is a ferocious rebounder, 23 is a ferocious rebounder, 21 is a ferocious rebounder. You go all the way down the line. They're big. Guards are big and strong and physical. They're a big team. Their guards are really big and physical. We got to block those guys out. So, again, you're making me look into the past or in the future. All of a sudden, my mind just goes right back to Virginia. We better block those cats out because they're hard enough to guard. And if you give them second opportunities, man, that gets really, really difficult. So we got to be on it.
Brooks.
Yeah, Pat, you guys have talked about the pride that you want these guys to take on the defensive end of the floor and that being a big identity for your team. As this season progresses, do you see that show up more in the effort portion, preparation, execution, that pride, or is it a combination of these things?
Defense is an attitude. Defense is 1-2. That's what your question was, right?
Yes, sir.
Our defense, it's a mentality, it's a way. You know, you have to play connected, to be a loud team. You have to adhere to your system, but you got to give effort, and you got to give multiple efforts to beat really good teams, which is who we play every single night. So our guys have been really bought into that, and I think we've been a good defensive team all year long. I think throughout the course of this last, whatever it is, 3.5 weeks or so, we've really, you know, ratcheted up our intensity on the defensive end and our focus, which you're only as good as your next game. You know, what our defensive intensity was like the last 6 games, it's over. It's about us having that same mentality tomorrow, and I feel really good that our guys will be locked in.
Pat, earlier last month you mentioned in the wake of the Corn and Cason injuries that in practice it was kind of hard to have a traditional 5-on-5 simply because you didn't have the bodies. How difficult was it to try and reestablish your practice routines and whatnot, and how did that kind of help fuel the momentum you guys are on now?
Yeah, so it was hard for a while when we were really low on bodies. You know, when all those guys were out, so when we got through it, it was fine. We had to adjust and do some different things. It was really cool the last, 4 or 5 days. Kobe Rogers has been cleared to practice. I don't know if I'm allowed to announce that. Does it matter? Who cares? Ali Khalifa was just today, you know, and they're both going to take a while. It's not like they're back full go, but they've been cleared for contact. So just to see them out there in some live drills is really cool, and that depth helps us. It helps us with repetitions in practice. It'll obviously help us with scout team. So hopefully those days are behind us when we really had to, you know, piecemeal stuff together to try to put a productive practice together.
Sure.
Pat, we've heard from day one, you talk about James and the potential and what you guys have seen. We've now seen it. What's next? What's the next step do you feel like that he needs to
to get better at or improve on?
See, he just does what he does over and over and over again. And I think what you see more than anything is like the confidence. You see it in how he plays offensively. And as you could see, I mean, he's so much more than just a rim runner, shot blocker, rebounder, lob guy, finisher. He has a really high basketball IQ, and a lot of our offense runs through him. You know, I mean, you watch our possessions and how many times the ball, goes through him and touches his hands. He's a really good passer. He's a connector. He gets to the next action. He's hard to guard because of his ability to threaten the rim on the lob, but then his ability to spray it and pass it when he needs to as well. So what the next step is, I don't know. He's just being the best version of James Scott that he can be right now, and then I just think we always say the results take care of itself. It'll just blossom. It's just going to happen. It's not like we said to James, hey, we want you to take on more of this responsibility. We just put him in the same role, in the same positions that he's been all year long, but he's just kind of blossoming before our eyes, and I think that's kind of what's going to continue to happen.
With him at the free throw line, it doesn't look like anything's off.
No.
It seems pretty good. Is it confidence? Is it
No, he's putting in the work. That's all I worry about. His mechanics are good. He puts in the work like nobody's business. Probably too much work. There's times when you gotta, from the moment he got here, I've had many talks with him, James, it's time to go home, okay? Like, there's a time for rest, there's time for recovery, there's time for, but he puts in the work. He's got great mentality, his mechanics are good, and it's gonna happen. For me, the last game, right? Banged a couple at Pitt, made some the other, so, I don't know, I sleep like a baby, he's doing fine, he's working hard.
Pat, you mentioned Rogers and Khalifa cleared to practice. I take it they're still planning to redshirt this season, or is there any possibility?
Yeah, redshirt.
Okay, cool.
1,000,000%. They're not even, being cleared to play and being able to play at a high level, it can give you a possession or two at a time. It's just going to take time for them to get stronger and get it.
I figured, yeah.
100%.
Pat, obviously you guys have already seen Virginia this year, but from that game and what you've known about them in the past, do you see much of a difference in them stylistically after Tony Bennett, with him out of the picture?
I never saw him with Tony Bennett. I was worried about my team in Charleston. I never saw him this year because Coach Sanchez took over before. I mean, I watched Virginia, I watched Duke, I watched Texas A&M, I watched East Tennessee State. I've seen teams, but I never really watched them. I have a lot of respect for Ron. Ron and I go way back. We came up in this business together. He's been really good to me over the years. I've made tons of phone calls to him about defense because, he comes from the godfather of defense. His team's very well schooled, fundamentally sound. They have a system that's hard to defend, and they have really good players. So, I don't really know the difference.
Anything else for Coach Kelsey? All right, thank you.